I'm gonna drink a Foster's, mate. We don't say any of this, Lana. Don't propagate false stereotypes. Okay, we do not say fed.
I've never even tried Foster's.
No,
Oh,
no one
I
has. It doesn't
have.
exist.
Is it-
Really. It's a psyop.
Is
I
it
think
really?
it's a
Because I
psyop.
actually think it's like decent shit beer. You know, like
Oh, no,
beer
I
that's not good but is good.
Like a PBR.
Yeah,
Mm,
and it comes in a fun little can. Like it's like
Again,
an oil
I couldn't
can.
even tell you what Foster's looks like.
I don't know. I think
Blue.
it's blue with a big F on the thing. I think that
Yeah.
like an ovular logo
up.
with an
I'm looking
F.
it up.
I think.
But the ad says it's Australian for beer.
Absolutely, just like out
So-
Australian for
Steakhouse.
beer.
like what was it? Like was it
Crocodile Dundee.
Lidl or Aldi? Scandinavian for value. That was a big ads in the UK for a bit.
Sure.
What's the American one of that? Hot dogs. They're like good. I don't know. I'm not funny.
Nailed it.
I'm sorry.
Nailed it.
Brain
Hot
fart.
dogs.
Wow.
I actually when I was in New York, I saw so many like street side hot dog vendors. Should I have eaten a hot dog from a hot dog vendor, or will I get
A
like
danger
salmonella?
dog.
Yeah, they give you health. Yeah. Wait, did you call it a danger dog? That's incredible. I've never
Yeah.
heard that before.
In San Francisco, there are the ones that where they just kind of make them on the ground. Those are the real danger dogs.
Do you guys have
What?
petrol
Ground dogs?
stations that sell kebabs in your country?
They're
you
not
do?
kebabs though. We have like hot dogs, and we also have a hot
Right.
dog, but instead of the hot dog, it's actually made out of hamburger meat. If you're a real nasty boy.
That sounds really
One
bad.
time
Remember
at
that time
the-
that I found out about Hamburger Helper and I was just furious?
What the fuck is hamburger?
What is
I
hamburger?
still don't know
Oh
what
my
it
God.
is.
I don't. It's like lunch meat. I don't even know how to describe what it doesn't help with
Is it like a-
hamburgers. I'll
is
tell
it
you
like
that
a
much.
thickener? Is it like, hey, you have
It's
a
like
certain
shit
amount of meat
in a box. Yeah.
No, it's
Also, the mascot is Glover, low key, which is
It's
weird how
like-
they stole him.
It looks
What
like
are
it's
we
like
talking-
mac
Danny
and
Glover?
cheese.
No,
Wait,
Glover, the N64
Oh,
character.
saying like
No,
Danny
Donald Glover,
Oh, I
Glover.
thought you
Charles
meant, I thought you
Gambino.
meant the Muppet.
Eating hot dogs, being like, I ain't too old for this shit. You know?
What is this?
I don't know, and I don't know why it's called Hamburger Helper.
It's a box.
It's
It's a box, and you
America's
mix it in with
favorite
shit.
one pan meal. Hey, my dad apparently in the 70s used to live off smash mash, which is
What is
basically
smash mash?
dehydrated mashed potato.
We had that in Australia.
Efficient.
It's called Deb. Did you ever have any Deb? It's
called Deb.
Deb,
Over
no,
here,
sorry, Deb
dehydrate-
is my mum's friend.
I was
No,
gonna say me aunt, Deb.
dehydrated potato, like mash over here is called. You buy it, Deb. That's what it is.
Didn't know that.
I
like
love
it.
you guys, man. Unbelievable. Wow.
Oh my god.
they do
did we
next.
start recording or no?
We did.
Yeah, we did.
Okay. So
Like
this
3
is
minutes
the
ago.
You
this
should
is the
probably
Friends
intro
per
the show
Second
at this point.
podcast. Welcome everybody. We're coming in hot after another episode we did a couple of days ago. Hopefully you caught that, where we did a full deep dive into Bungie's new game Marathon. We went to play it. We flew ourselves out there to check it out, and we kind of went in depth on that because it's a really interesting one. I think we could have even
Absolutely.
talked longer, but
Dude, I plan to.
Yeah, good.
That's a threat.
You
He will.
Right. Watch
No,
out.
Couldn't be true.
I'm Jake Baldino. I'm joined as always by Ralph, aka Skillup, Lucy James, and joined by Alana Pierce. Hello,
Hi,
Alana.
thanks for having me.
What's up?
You know, chilling.
Doing things.
It's probably the
Got
best.
your smart
answer.
glasses on now. You ready? You're locked in.
Yeah,
You got the glasses on.
Exactly. I'm locked in.
Did you guys catch the Minecraft movie or what?
No, but you did.
I did.
Wait, by yourself. Can we
During the day, 1 p.m.
Okay.
I wanted to go before school let out, so it wasn't even more weird.
That would
I
have
was
been
just like-
better if it was full of school kids. What are you talking about?
But
can't
like,
say
I'd be
that.
like an adult alone in a room.
Yeah,
No, that's
but
just-
you'd see their reactions, and that's all.
I
the
want to
only
see it with
reason.
the elderly because it's even funnier because why are they there? Like, because old people will they have nothing to do. They'll just go see a movie and
Sure.
they'll
Wait,
go
so-
in going,
Like you.
I don't know what this is. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
can
me.
you talk about the clientele who were there while you went to see the Minecraft movie?
So there was a family in the top right corner that it seems like they didn't speak any English.
Okay.
But they were there. Their kids were so excited. I was like, why aren't they in school? Doesn't matter. They yelled at all the big parts that are now becoming memes that I don't understand.
Yeah.
And there was also a woman in her probably late 50s, early 60s, like
Okay.
a row or two in front of me.
Just on
That
her
woman
own.
was Jennifer Coolidge.
Just on her own. Yeah. No, just on her own. So I saw her and I was like, I did like a little,
We're both weird.
You try to get
Did
like
she
a little.
have cheeseburgers in her pockets? I don't think she did. I do. Yeah, you guys ever smuggle fast food
Yeah,
into
yeah,
the theater?
absolutely.
Oh yeah,
Little pocket
come
burgers?
on. Who you
Yeah,
talking
come
to
on,
here?
Come on. Yeah, that was
I'm
really it.
ethically opposed to that. I would like to be clear. I'm ethically opposed to smuggling.
What are
food
you,
into a
sponsored
cinema.
by fucking Hoyts?
I like going to the cinema, and they only make money off of the food. I'm morally opposed to you smuggling cheeseburgers in. Apologize.
All right, I'll try and scale it back. Popcorn's like $13, man. I don't know if I can't
Yeah,
do
If
make a lot
they
of
were
money
to
on that.
charge a fair price for their product, I would have no problem paying it, right? But if they're going to charge me $20 for popcorn and a Coke, then I'm sorry, man, all bets are off. We're going
$20
to come
for a
back to this
bit of
topic when we
air.
talk about the Switch 2, no doubt.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm doing my
Spicy ones
part.
today.
Every time I go to AMC, I do an Instagram story and I take a picture of Nicole Kidman and I post that, like
It's my
going to the
favorite bit
movies.
that you
And I
do.
do that religiously. And every single time I do it, a bunch of people comment on my Instagram stories going, I didn't know she was in that movie.
Yeah, the joke
I love
only
their
lasted so
sheer
long.
reluctance to update that with any modern movie. Like it still has Wonder Woman in it and La La Land.
It's too iconic now. You can't change it. People will
yeah,
die.
and they're great films. So, I mean, if I was Nicole
Speaking
Kidman,
of
I'd be
great
watching those
films.
all the time.
So how
Yeah,
was
speaking-
Minecraft?
Yeah,
How
how
was
was it? How was it is a really interesting question. So it's not this like bad disaster thing that like everybody is going to want to make it seem. It is a product for kids.
Yeah.
It is super short.
You're
It is
telling me this
blazing fast.
children's movie is for children?
Yeah, no,
Whoa,
which
whoa,
is
whoa.
fine. Like it's like sitting there and going like, this isn't for me. There's a couple of like jokes that are a little bit more like adults can laugh at. But it's just this like quick, clean and dirty thing. A bunch of actors running around in a green screen, just screaming at things. But I think for me, it's like I was actually just hoping there'd be a little bit more Jared Hess in it. He is the director. He's the guy behind Napoleon Dynamite, Nacho
Yeah.
Libre, a couple of other
Mm.
things. I was expecting to see a little bit more of that like weirdness in it. There wasn't a lot of that. It is still a weird movie. There's this one whole part where like Jack Black and Jason Momoa are flying in the air through Minecraft world. And there's like a siege and a big explosion and they got to like fly through the hole, right? But the only way they can fly through the hole is if they switch into a 69 position for like no reason.
Sure.
But they do it. And then Jack Black's face is in Jason Momoa's crotch and vice versa. And it's like, it's not really funny, but it's funny that it's in the movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
And that's the
I-
movie in a nutshell.
I think a lot about like what it would have been for those like the director or the main cast to be told, okay, you're on this project, you're on it, because they get points for that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how badly you do. Doesn't matter how bad that film is, and clearly it's not a very good film. Okay, it still made $300 million in its opening weekend. So at that point, if you're that actor or that director, whatever, who's like, "Yep, signed," it's like you won the fucking lottery, man.
Yeah, you don't
It's
even
just
care.
Yeah.
straight up.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you do. You are going to get a massive paycheck at the end of it, no matter what. And absolutely, that movie is on its way to making $1 billion. You know what I mean?
My thing
Insane.
was like, and this kind of like the rough point of the video I put out was just realizing that like it's not about you anymore, like a thing, especially like for me particularly because like I played Minecraft in the very early days, like before it was 1.0, when it was like this little like shareware thing you would get, and it was like you were just like following Notch. What's Notch gonna say? I can't wait for him to update and add something to. And it was such a simple, weird little game. You found your server. It was a bizarre experience. It was so cool.
I loved
and
Minecraft.
Now it's, you know, it's become bigger than any of us. And the movie is made for that more than what my individual personal experience was. Because I was still an adult playing the game. But yeah,
I
it's
had
been
that
wild
with
to see it
superhero
take
movies
off.
recently where like I'll see a trailer and I'm not interested in any of them, and I was like, is it just that I aged out of the target audience? Because if I was 15, maybe I would still like this. Maybe it's not that they're all terrible and it's actually just that they're made for a younger audience. I
No,
don't
it's
know
the
though.
Children who are wrong.
Nah, I agree.
Yeah, maybe. I will say I don't want to be too old man yells at cloud, but I do feel like a lot of kids movies used to have plots for adults and
Oh,
and like
jokes for adults.
slapstick comedy for children. You know what I mean? And I feel like
Sure.
that's not as much of a thing anymore. Like they really try to make the whole thing kid centric, so it means they're a lot
The
less enjoyable.
Minecraft movie is a perfect example of that because there is a very small through line of celebrating creativity and showing how creativity should be nurtured, not discouraged. The main character is a little boy. He's creative. He gets made fun of at school. He has a rough time. He goes into the land of Minecraft and he feels like he can be creative. The villain on the other side, which is what are they called? The piglins, you know, in the nether. So they this pig miraculously was on like America's Got Talent in Minecraft world. Stay with me. And she was a dancer and she did a cool funky dance, but everybody thought it was silly and stupid. So she rejected creativity and became a villain.
She's Hitler.
So
frustrated artist, I believe, is the way we would frame that without getting demonetized. Alana,
that might be the biggest laugh
yes,
anyone's
you
ever
are
got
not
out of me
wrong.
on the show. Yeah, so there's that. It's like it's about creativity, but the movie is so breakneck, relentlessly paced, and like short attention span.
Yeah.
That none of that really gets time to breathe. Like I'm glad it was in there, but it you could tell it could have been a lot more, and it was probably like the initial pitch.
The only thing, the most I've seen of it is the Red Letter Media review, which the intro line concludes from their little intro spiel. When will the Lord take me?
I've just seen something about like kids throwing popcorn at something.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of things like kids being asked like you can't do memes, you can't do TikToks, you can't yell and stuff, which just seems.
I think the rules are off for this. Though. I think no. I actually don't think it is for this film. I believe that's 100% justified for most movies.
If I'm paying $20 a ticket, $15 for fucking popcorn.
No, but you're not.
And I won't be.
The children.
No, this is different. The whole point of this movie is to do that. Right? It's like if you're going into the room and expecting people not to like groan and make jokes and be ridiculous. Like you go into a midnight. You know what I mean? Like the whole film is a meme. So I think that those rules have to be suspended specifically for this.
Sometimes, or like when Taylor Swift with the Eras tour when that was in theaters and people are like they can't sing and the move, and I'm like they definitely should sing along. Why not?
Who was planning to sit there and watch Taylor Swift sing in silence
just
for an hour?
Locked in. Me at home.
Just watch it at home. Exactly. So the verdict is that the movie's not that bad, but it's not like you would recommend it to adults.
Don't be like me. Don't go as an adult in the middle of the day and justify it by being like, "Well, I make YouTube videos, so I can do it."
I was going to say,
this is the tax expense for the tax write-off.
Did you write off the ticket?
Oh hell yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so it's fine. It's not a disaster. It's just not for us. If you have a younger sibling or a child, hell of a good time. You're probably gonna have a great time seeing them jump up and scream when he says I am Steve. I don't know. I'm glad little kids are excited about Jack Black doing his like ribbidi thing. That's good.
That's what he's for. Have any of you ever been to WWE live?
No. I wish.
I'd love to.
I'm
not a wrestling person. I actually went in Australia because 2K used to give me tickets back when I was in Australia.
Here,
good stuff. But the best thing about it is the kids screaming. It's like just kids going, yeah, John Cena! And it's just the cutest thing you've ever seen. Otherwise, it's extremely boring because I don't understand any of it. But kids being excited, it's like, you know what? Maybe the kids are all right. And then you realize that it's all brain rot memes. And
true.
When will it end?
Yep. Skibbity Toilet's good, and I still stand by that. I'll keep saying this on the podcast, on the record. Clip it. Anyway, this is Friends Per Second. We already did the intro. I think we should jump into the elephant in the room, the Nintendo Switch 2. A bunch of Nintendo Switch 2 news dropped, and Ralph and I got to go hands-on with the thing, play lots of games, but top level, for someone who hasn't touched it, Lucy, what was your first reaction to like the Nintendo Direct, the whole the lineup of games, everything? Why'd you make a face?
I was whelmed, to be honest.
Okay. Interesting.
I genuinely wasn't really excited about a game until the Yakuza 0 Director's Cut. Which I think that means I have to hand in my gamer badge and gun.
I mean, you're allowed. That's fine. Yakuza, you're fine.
Yeah, if Yakuza.
If
you're
anything,
the
that
most
makes me
gamer.
more of an elite gamer.
I agree.
Of a discerning taste. No, I just I didn't grow up with Nintendo. I played a bunch of my I haven't touched my Switch since Red Dead came to Switch. That was the last game I played on my Nintendo Switch. So it kind of shows you how often I reach for it. It is plugged in, everything in my entertainment unit. I could at any point play it, and I never choose to. Donkey Kong looks very fun. I am intrigued by it. I'll play it, but also at the same time, am I in a position right now where I want to be paying that much for a new console for games that I am only kind of about? No. And so, the thing for me is that I really wanted the gimmick to be better. I had actually heard that it was a mouse
Thing.
a long time ago. So I was like, oh, surely that's just bad intel. Surely they'll do something. Unless something is making everything more expensive, then no, they didn't do it.
Well, let me tell you about that fucking mouse.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of cool.
So do
I
I.
think it's cool.
And
I'm a PC player.
Well, that's the thing. So
Yeah.
I will say it specifically, if you are just and I think that coupled with something like Cyberpunk is a really good example, where it's like, if you're just in the Nintendo ecosystem and the Switch is like your only thing, Cyberpunk 2077 running on a Switch 2 is playable and it looks pretty decent. And it's not like, 4K HDR, like this insane shit.
No way.
That's fine. Like if that's your only avenue into Cyberpunk, awesome. And then that kind of goes with the mouse too. Yeah, I don't know if every developer is going to jump on it, but the ones I spoke to are pretty excited about it. The people
Sorry,
behind
did you get to
Civ.
use it
Yeah, a
absolutely.
lot.
to like play a shooter?
Yes.
Yep. Play
How did
Metroid.
Yeah, Metroid with it.
How did
Metroid
it
is
go?
an interesting example.
Did it work? Does it work as a mouse?
It does.
Extremely well.
Yeah.
Like because there's also a mini game. That stupid fucking box, like that tech demo thing that they're selling for
tutorial
money.
game
Yeah,
that they're selling.
Nintendo Land.
yeah,
Nintendo Land,
Welcome
whatever.
to-
It was
Oh
not
my
good.
god. We will
Jesus
come back to that.
Christ.
But there's a
Yeah.
mini game within that has like all these bombs dropping and you need to like dodge it with a mouse or whatever. And it's incredibly responsive. Like I did not feel like I'm using some dollar store mouse or whatever. I'm like, yes, this is just a normal mouse as I would expect to use. It's very, very, very good.
Yeah. And I think some of it comes down to the Nintendo implementation. Because again, I want to preface, if you're a PC gamer, you're going to be like, oh, what's the DPI? What the fuck?
No, that's the thing. The other thing as well is that like Nintendo has the magic when you actually get to play it. I think this showcase, looking from the outside without getting the hands on, way less exciting than what you two probably.
No,
To be clear,
absolutely.
I loved the showcase. I thought it was sick. I was
Cool.
very impressed by the showcase. The whole time, like the game reveals, the fact that they clearly focused on third party, like doing those third party reveals. So it was like, oh, you're telling me that I can run Cyberpunk. It has the updates that I've been asking for. They had Hollow Knight Silk Song. There's a FromSoft exclusive. I thought the showcase itself was rad, but I am also a Nintendo player in that, like, I grew up with Nintendo. But then the news of all the price stuff afterwards really ruined that for me. But they intentionally obviously didn't put that in the showcase. So I was very excited until I wasn't. But I like the showcase a lot.
I think that's that up and down is definitely the thing for most people. But to the mouse point, the implementation is interesting because it seems like, so I didn't get to play it for Cyberpunk, but they are pretty excited about implementing it there. I did play a lot of rounds of Civ with it. And I was just like, boop, 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 doing it. So it's like you have the one hand using it as a mouse, then you have the other Joy-Con. You're kind of just like, hitting the other stick to move the camera. Like you can have like shortcuts and stuff like that. And it worked. It was totally cool. It was totally fine. And the implementation, I think Metroid Prime is the best example where if you're using the mouse, it still plays like Metroid. Like you're still doing that big chunky lock on, but then with that lock on, you can like precision aim. And then when you're walking around too, you can use it like a mouse. But what's interesting is that like if you get a little screwed up or a little scrambled with the mouse, like you would in any game, what do? You do a mouse whip, right? Like you whip. With this, you can also just lift up the mouse and it's a controller again and you move the joystick.
That's cool.
You can, and it's like an instantaneous switch. And I put it to the test quite a bit. Obviously it was a controlled environment, but I put it to the test quite a bit and it was very cool to see how instantly back and forth you could go with no, and I just found that really interesting, and I'm curious to see
That's
how else that could be implemented.
Yeah.
Well, my biggest interest in it is that I already play a lot of like boomer shooters on my Switch. I would say that's the thing that I play on my Switch more often than anything else, like games like Dusk, for example. And I was like, oh
Hell
my
yeah.
god, having that point and click would make that the mouse would make that so much better. But then the idea of some of those boomer shooters are now including more and more like traversal stuff. The idea of like then swapping and being able to do any like platforming or whatever is awesome. Like I hadn't even
Absolutely.
thought about that.
But even
All I
like
was really focused on was like, does it feel precise? Is it accurate? Like I'm interested in that stuff, but it sounds like that's a pass, right?
even like menu navigation in certain games is a real pain in the ass. If you have like a menu with lots of different icons, like Monster Hunter, for example, being able to just like, instead of using the stick to like click across every individual one, if you could just like turn it and then mouse over your menus to use stuff more quickly and then go back to sticks when you're playing, like that's
Very
super
cool.
cool. So it's just like it's a nice innovation. Plus it also has the gyro aim, which,
Yeah.
Cyberpunk is doing, movement control, move controls as well. So yeah, I reckon the whole mousing is actually a really big innovation that I really hope developers jump on and do cool things with, because there's scope for them to use it in interesting ways.
Ralph, what was your favorite game that you got hands on with?
Donkey Kong for sure. Donkey Kong's fun, man. So Donkey Kong is like, people are calling it like Red Faction Gorilla. Did you see this?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, because it's basically destructible, like voxel. Imagine a voxel Donkey Kong game where you can just like, there's 3 buttons, like the 4 face buttons. One of them's a jump. The other button at the bottom, I don't even know what they are. But the bottom
Punch
button
down.
is a punch down. The other one is a punch straight, and then another one is like a punch up. Okay. So you're basically punching everything all the time and like lifting big chunks of rock out of the earth and throwing them at things and picking up explosive blocks of rock and making massive craters in the wall. Like it's like Red Faction level destructibility with a Donkey Kong game. It doesn't run very well, right? I don't know if you found much of this, Jake, but like the frame rates
Somewhat,
are pretty choppy.
I'm hoping that's a work in progress.
Hoping that
thing.
improves. But
Yeah.
it's just fun, man. It's very frantic and ridiculous and silly. And the camera snaps around very awkwardly. It really struggles to keep up with the action, to be honest with you. Because
Yeah, you can like break the game. Like if you just
Absolutely.
like drop kick a hole in the ground and you like break the geometry, the camera's like, I can't do this. Like
what
I'm
do
not
I do
here for
now?
That's
this.
gonna be
you
fun
know?
for speed runs.
This
Yeah,
feels
so-
like something that shouldn't come out.
what do you mean?
That's pretty bad. Like
No,
if
no,
that's
like,
an issue you
look-
had frequently.
Like, okay, let's rephrase. I think the performance issues, it wasn't like the game was unplayable. It was just like, because there was a lot of stuff going on, I definitely noticed frame drops. Okay.
Breath of the Wild was like that just before.
Oh, and Breath of the Wild was
too,
like,
though.
for sure.
Breath of the Wild ran.
Right.
It's
exactly.
still like that.
I mean, to do it, but like pre-release, I remember playing it at the Switch event. I was like, ugh. So
The
they've
camera
did a
stuff,
lot.
though, it's an when you experience it for yourself, you'll realize that it's ultimately like an unsolvable problem in many aspects, right? Because when you see how quickly he moves and you see how quickly the environment just like evaporates before you,
Explodes.
the camera just has to do what it can to keep up. Like it's, again, I'm not making excuses for Nintendo here, but what I'm saying to you is that when you actually play this for yourself, you're like, well, that has to be the way this is given the type of game that it is. And it's not great.
My question would be when you're doing that stuff and you're doing destructible stuff, was the camera messing up when you were doing it for fun, or was it messing up when you were like trying to complete a goal?
Well, this is the thing. You can complete goals in different ways because it's all destructible, right? So if you wanted to be really careful and methodical and like you could climb up a wall to get to somewhere and it's like the camera tracks perfectly. It's no problem.
Yeah.
But then if you were to like decide that I'm not going to climb that wall, I'm going to dig a hole through it and then straight up, into the cliff face, then the camera could get pretty funky while you're doing that.
So it is avoidable, but that doesn't sound great.
Even then, I wouldn't say avoidable, because there are lots of instances where you need to punch a hole through a wall to get somewhere, and then the camera's going to do its thing for sure.
And it's especially because it's very, a lot of people have built it kind of as like a Mario Sunshine Mario Odyssey with destruction. So, you may be exploring this kind of little world and then you walk up the top of a hill, and at the top of the hill, you're like, what if I just punch down? And you just punch down and all of a sudden maybe you find nothing, or you break through and you find a secret cave and you instantly get a moon. or a star
Yes.
in Mario 64, and
banana.
you woohoo, and you win. And so it's kind of like that constant collectathon endorphin rush, encouraged less so by where you know what the game is like telling you to do, and more you just kind of like fucking around and finding out, you know.
Have
I
they
think
confirmed if it's the Mario team yet?
they won't tell us. They won't fucking. Nintendo doesn't ever. They're like, this is what they said about Mario Wonder when we asked them. They're like, read the credits. We're like, after you finish the game, you're like,
crazy.
come
Like,
on,
beat the
bro.
game,
Not
bitch.
credit
You
people
know?
who are actively working on something is nuts. Yeah, I don't
So
know. I
ridiculous.
find camera issues in video games infuriating. It's like one of my biggest
Yeah.
pet peeves is like when a camera doesn't work, it's really, really annoying. So
I
I'm
think-
like bummed to hear that because I was very excited about this based on it. Like I got, like you said, Odyssey vibes. I got some even like old school 3D platformer vibes. Like I thought the trailer was really good.
I kind of suspect you'll hate this.
Damn,
because
bummer.
I think that the camera. I mean, Jake, am I exaggerating?
No, I think sometimes it does a good job of choosing when to block out the walls around you, like make it invisible so you can see Donkey Kong and what he's doing.
Yes,
But it's not always perfect. Yeah.
no, it's very often not perfect. I would say. And
Yeah.
if you're sensitive to this, then I'm gonna guess that. In fact, actually, that was like one of the remember the demoer at the start was like, "Oh, do you get motion sick?" And we're like, "Nah, it's all good." And then
Yeah.
he said something. I don't know if you even heard him because he was talking to you, but I overheard it. And he said something like, "Yeah, because the camera moves pretty fast, so we just like to check in." You know, I was like, oh, "Okay, whatever." I'm like, "We're gamers,
Yeah.
man. We got this. No problem. Whatever." And then I started playing it. I'm like, "Oh shit, I see what he means now." You know,
Yeah.
so
Wow.
yeah.
I think the biggest question really remains for me is how they, how are they going to introduce mechanics throughout the game to keep that interesting? Because
yeah.
it is, at least because I played like what felt like the intro and like the first level or first area, it feels pretty mindless because after a while it's just endless smashing, endless violence, endless greed. And for
There's
what?
just something about that being
Greed.
paired with Donkey Kong is so funny.
I know, it's just
Endless
it's
greed and
violent. Like
violence.
it's like a
It
very
is.
because you're constantly smashing, you're constantly pressing the punch
aggressive,
buttons,
yeah.
and also the Donkey Kong voiceover kind of just sounds like a man, and it's like like constantly. It's a lot,
smashing.
yeah. Aren't we all?
Nice.
Yeah.
It has such a different meaning.
So what was the best thing you played, Jay?
Probably Metroid Prime
Okay.
4.
Mm.
What I got to play was essentially the intro. It felt like the intro, where Samus shows up. She has all her powers. You go through a cool sequence. You get introduced to all those powers, the power fantasy. You fight a boss, and then inevitably her powers are stripped away, and that's where the game begins. So you can't really judge a Metroid game until you're doing the Metroidvania stuff. But this intro sequence just felt really, really good. First of all, it was insane to see like high frame rate, high resolution Samus on screen, like crisp, smooth as hell. That was weird. But also it was like a crazy sequence, like more than I expected, where it starts out with like following Samus's ship, and it's almost like a tracking shot of like the Millennium Falcon, where it's like ducking and diving and shooting down enemy ships. And then it flies over a bunch of Federation soldiers, and they're all like, fuck yeah, there she is. And it lands, and then the music plays, and she flips and lands. You see her in all her glory, pans into first person, and you're in. And you're like, oh man, we're doing this again. Awesome. And you're running, you're shooting, you're scanning shit, you're using your rockets. And it all felt so familiar, like very distinctly Metroid Prime, but with like a little bit more. Like you walk through and like you'll see stuff going on in front of you. You'll see explosions. You'll see NPCs running around. An NPC will walk up to you and like a little cutscene happens and they say things at you. And Samus is just kind of like, okay, cool, which is how it should be. And I'm sure that, the whole game isn't going to be this cinematic and this crazy, but it was just cool for me to see how seriously they were taking it. And I couldn't help but think of like kids being exposed to Metroid for the first time with this game, because this would be my whole identity. If I saw this game as like a 10-year-old, I'd be like, this is it. This is who I am now. And then by the end of the game, I'd be like, wait, she's a girl? Yeah, it was definitely my my favorite thing. It's exactly like what you'd expect, but with like a lot of quality. Like just like more production value than I expected.
Awesome.
I think similar things could be said of like Mario Kart World, which we got a chance to play a lot of. That was the thing they let us play the most of there. We had like two sessions, one where we played like a local, 2-player kind of game. And then we played that kind of knockout mode against like 25 other races, and you just go round after round and like elimination checkpoint, whatever else. But it's Mario Kart. Feels fantastic. Yep. I love it. I mean, it looks nicer, has a bigger roster. You can do rail grinds, which is sick. The biggest difference now with this is that you don't actually like do laps in this Mario Kart. You just go from one place to the other. And so the tracks are just singular, like, courses, and they seamlessly lead into the next location. And that is cool. Because,
wait, what do you mean? Like,
so like imagine a big
like
map.
an open world.
Yeah, exactly. Like Diddy Kong Racing back in the day. Anyone remember that one? Like the little overworld map in Diddy Kong, but like way bigger than that.
Why did you say that like a comedian? Like, anyone remember Diddy Kong Racing?
Anybody hear this? Anybody see this?
Yeah.
What is the deal with airline food? No. So
is it like Forza Horizon? Is that the way to put it? That's what I assumed.
Yes, but Forza Horizon is very distinctly like we are one map, and then there's kind of like slightly different biomes within it, where this is clearly like you're driving in the lava zone, and then there's like a bit of connective whatever, and then all of a sudden you're in the ice zone. It's like that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
It's a theme park. Yeah, exactly. That's a good way to put it.
Which is good. Theme park carries over from 8, where 8 felt a lot like a theme park where, wow, like you're driving around and you're looking. Yeah. It still has a lot of that.
It does.
So the races aren't tracks.
Yes. Well, they're not laps.
What is that?
It's not like
from it's just point A to point B.
Correct. Yeah. So it's not like you're not going around the same place 3 times. You'll just go drive from here to there.
I'm sure there are modes that give you those.
Maybe. I don't know.
Right? Maybe. We only saw so much.
Yeah, I mean the layout of it is very distinctly like they've really leveraged. You can see the overworld map, and you can see how big it is. You can see how it's all connected. It's possible they have some lap modes, sure, but I think the real selling point of it is like no more of that, or the alternative is there, and it's cool. And the elimination mode is super fun, super tense because it's Mario Kart, and that means that you could be 3 feet away from the next checkpoint, and you're like number 2. And then you get shelled, and all of a sudden 6 races past you, and all of a sudden you have been knocked out, and you're like, fuck my life. I hate this game. I'm never playing it ever again. Worst $80 ever. So,
I found that mode really good. It was like, it seemed like over generous with items. That it made it constantly chaotic, but also it made everybody kind of grouped closer together so that there's not like one person that's just like a million feet ahead. And I think that totally worked for like race pacing wise, because that is like a science that is very much like a thing. I also just to pivot back to like the races from like A to B, the change up of the environments is cool, but when you couple that with like the night and day and then like weather effects and stuff that happen, it was just like a lot going on, and it's cool. I did notice a couple of parts where like in between biomes, essentially big kind of wide roads that didn't have a lot going on. It wasn't too frequent, but it was like almost where you could see the seams a little bit. But I don't think anyone's really going to care because you're too focused on like, throwing bananas or whatever. Joy. Yeah. Not being a critical gamer. Yeah.
This sounds really cool to me. Like beforehand, like I'll always buy a Mario Kart. I was like, what could they possibly change? And it's so fundamentally different. I think even if they don't have tracks that you loop, I don't like the idea of that, because a big thing about Mario Kart is like you get better as you're learning the track while playing sometimes, you know what I mean? Like you can adapt. Do you watch your friends adapt as they're learning where certain bends are, and they know you can do certain things in certain areas. And so that's an interesting change that I don't know how I feel about. But I think I'm impressed with the caveat that Nintendo has messed up a whole bunch of pricing stuff, that they've made it so different when it's not like they necessarily needed to. It's always going to sell. It's Mario Kart. But they really like reworked it significantly, and I'm just I don't know, I'm excited to give it a try.
Yeah, we were talking about it. I think Tim from Kinda Funny said it. Like, I don't want to like steal his words. It's like Nintendo kind of had cracked the code. Like, it wasn't just like open world for the sake of it, but they had kind of like come up with a cool way to make it their own thing.
Very cool.
The big question is that it costs $80, and I think that might be a good segue to the pricing of it all, which has been a massive topic of conversation, with the Switch 2 itself retailing at a $450 US.
How do you guys feel
Which
about
is-
that? Before the game price, how do you feel about the console
It's
price?
kind of what I expected.
Yeah.
With the added
I
power
thought about
and stuff.
400,
Mhm.
Also
or at least I
$399.
kind of I thought it'd be 399.
It's expensive.
You think it's
It's
expensive for what it
expensive.
is?
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy it. Like I said previously, I'll buy all video game hardware at this point. I'm a video game hardware enthusiast, so yes, I will buy it once we're allowed to pre-order it in America. But I think about like when the Switch came out, I couldn't afford one. I worked at IGN and like lived in the Bay Area. It was on a regular human salary. It was too expensive. I couldn't afford it. And so I ended up trading in a whole bunch of games when I went back to Australia, and my mum put in like $80 and it was a Christmas present.
Sure.
There are a lot of people that applies to for a $450 console. Like,
Definitely.
it's an interesting one because I feel like it'll still sell out. Surely they'll still run out of pre-orders. It'll still sell out. It'll be
Absolutely,
popular
of
enough.
course.
But it is,
Yeah.
that's a lot of money for a lot of people. It is unaffordable.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is. Of course it is. Absolutely. I would never suggest for a moment that it's cheap, right? But I guess I'm very much looking at like, what are they selling for that price? Okay. Because you look at like, how much is like an iPad over there in the States right now? Like a normal.
How much is a Steam Deck?
300 or something.
And
I looked
I
the other
think-
day because there's like weirdly, there's an iPad model that's very cheap, but it's also because it has
iPad
all
Pro
the
is
iPad
a
Air is
thousand.
$600 for an M1 iPad,
Okay.
right? If
Oh
I'm
no,
not
I'm looking at like a low.
Yeah,
low
dude,
spec
they're
one. It's like
they're
$300-400.
$600. It's from $600 is the cheapest one.
Oh,
Sure.
what? I
And
saw one
obviously,
the other day.
Apple's
Okay.
stuff is expensive. Okay, so that's one thing in itself, right?
Yeah.
But you think about that's an iPad. This does a lot more than that, and it has more stuff. You know what I mean? Like it's so, and then I think it's like $450. It's you buy it once, and it's ideally going to last you 6 or 7 years. Like the larger screen size, 120 hertz, 4K 60 docked,
A
DLSS.
Switch does more than an iPad?
Yeah,
Again?
let's unpack that one. What?
Yeah. What?
The Switch does more than an iPad. Yes, the iPad
mean?
does not. What do you mean? What do I mean?
Emails, work, you can
Oh, well,
make
if
a
you were talking about a
slideshow,
product-
you
Create-
can-
No, I'm talking about the
Tools,
technology, like the.
music.
No, I'm saying when I say it does more, I'm like the iPad does not have a mouse. Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like it's technically in terms of its specs,
Can.
Yeah, it
you can
also
plug a mouse into it, but it doesn't come with a mouse. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
Okay.
iPad is a screen, correct?
Switch
Yeah,
is a
it's
screen.
just
Agree
a
on that.
square.
Yeah, sure. But it also has it also has controllers and stand, and it has a dock that can be plugged directly into your TV. And
Small bit.
it is a 120 hertz screen, and it has support for DLSS, and it has ray
Yeah.
tracing, and it has 3D audio now, and it has So
You mean in terms of the like hardware and tech that it is?
of course, that's exactly
more
what I mean. I'm
powerful
not saying you
device,
can like fucking build a business on your Switch, but someone will
Or
probably like
gaming
emulate.
specific
Some
features.
Nintendo
Whatever.
gameplay.
for sure.
Yeah, I'm saying from the pure hardware perspective, the number of
Yeah.
things that hardware is able to do, you can do more stuff. So, I look at that laundry list of stuff and I'm like, okay, that's not cheap, but I also don't think they're taking the piss. I don't think that they're like price gouging on that. And,
No, I don't think so
and-
either. No, they are with the
Yeah.
other stuff. I don't think they are with the hardware. I'm sure it costs them that much to make.
Yeah.
And it is every upgrade we've been asking for. Like that's part of it. I was so
Yeah,
excited about a lot of
absolutely.
the reveals. Is like it's really everything we want. It's the improvements that the Switch obviously needs. Like I've
Yes.
spoken to devs who've been like, yeah, it's good. This is going to be super helpful leap from the Nintendo Switch in terms of like porting games to consoles. Is that sometimes you build things for the Switch and then increase them from there, and sometimes you do it backwards. Like if the Switch 2 seems more on level, obviously not completely, but closer to the other consoles, it makes it easier to make games for it.
Yeah.
Like there's many advantages that I'm super happy about. And I don't think they're ripping us off here. They are with many other things. Nintendo. But it's just too much for a lot of people. I don't know what the
No,
solution to
that's
that
it.
is. Lose money. Like
I think that's the reality. Like it is just it's you may say, okay, that's a fair price, but it's also a case of like, well, purchasing power is really weak right now. The threat of like a global recession, like things are bad, and it's like it's an expensive product in that context because it's a luxury product in the sense that like gaming is a luxury. It's not like food and shelter. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
a lot of people are just looking at that price and thinking no thanks. But also it doesn't necessarily make a compelling case for why you need to buy it at launch. Don't forget, right? Like there is no Breath of the Wild here where you're like,
Yeah.
okay, I must sell a kidney to get this thing so I can play Breath of the Wild. The Switch 2 does not have something like that. It has some cool
I think
games
for
that are
some
fun.
types of players.
Yeah,
I think for some types of players, Mario Kart's a
is-
big deal.
But
Like, I think if I bought a Switch for my nieces and I got it with Animal Crossing, and I think I got them the Bluey game. But
Okay.
from there they bought, they bought Mario Kart, and they've kind of become more attuned with gaming and how to make everything work. And so I do think that if they were aware of the Switch 2, they're under 10. Like, they're not on.
What kind of
IGN
game is
every day.
Bluey? Is the Bluey game like a grand strategy game?
Apparently it's a bad one. I
Apparently
don't know. I got some feedback
Yeah, but nothing to
that
do
they
with
did
it.
not dig the Bluey game. But
Man.
I will say to Ralph's point, like, I think that there are a lot of people, like you're saying, my sister's probably one of those two who would like be interested to play a new Mario Kart, but I don't think the core gamer, the
Yes.
person
No.
like all of us who was like, holy fuck, I can't miss out on the conversation surrounding Breath of the Wild. I have to be involved.
Yeah.
I'm in agreement. There isn't really one of those.
no, I see like the people who are, champing at the bit for Mario Kart to come with a new Switch. It is families. It is, hey, this is our Christmas Day present for the
Absolutely.
family that we can all play together.
Totally.
And so Donkey Kong is what, July?
July, yes.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, for me, just like overall, the offering is not quite where I would want it to be to invest that much money before you even start to talk about how much the games themselves cost.
What are the launch titles?
There's quite a few
Obviously
third-party
Mario Kart.
titles, but the actual first-party Nintendo titles is just the upgraded for like Switch to Breath of the Wild, etc. And Mario Kart, and that's it.
Was Metroid a launch title?
No, they haven't announced a date for Metroid yet.
No.
So
Oh, the GameCube Classics is pretty cool. Like, Nintendo, I hate that I keep doing this because I know that I'm part of the problem, but I will buy Wind Waker for the third time. I'll do it. I'll do it. Let's not pretend that I'm not going to do that. Okay,
But
shut up.
it'll be on the Nintendo Online subscription, right? That's part of that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it
you
not
will need-
extra for it? I thought it was like an extra couple of bucks for.
I could be wrong.
Am I wrong?
I thought it was just.
I could also
included,
be
but
wrong.
I could be wrong. So yeah.
But like
And then
that
Split Fiction, that's cool.
Absolutely.
That is cool.
Huge amounts of third-party support make this a really
Hogwarts
great
Legacy.
purchase for anyone that's like, if the Switch is your main driver and it's the machine that you use more than any other, I think it's a really good day one purchase because it allows you to go back and play many of the best games from the past generation. Like you couldn't play Elden Ring or Cyberpunk before, but now you can. And that, for a lot of people who've only ever had a Switch, that's going to be a pretty fucking cool couple of months for them. Do you know what I mean? Like just skimming the cream off the past 7 years of gaming. That's going to be pretty rad, So yeah.
Do you guys think FromSoft multiplayer game moves consoles?
Such an interesting question. I really would love to hear what people think about this, actually. Because I have my own thoughts, for sure.
I don't know. I have no idea. It's such an interesting, weird combo because I normally would say no, but now at this point, Elden Ring has become such a big thing that I think more people than ever are attuned to it. So I don't know. I don't know.
I'm really interested to see how Night Rain does.
Yeah. It's a good litmus test.
I do think it shifts some consoles. I don't think it shifts a lot of consoles, but I do believe that there's 500,000 to, let's say, 1.5 million people, FromSoft fans, who will be like, I don't want to have to do this, but I have to play the FromSoft game, so I'm gonna do it. That audience is very, very, very rusted on, and I think it is in that kind of 500,000 to 1.5 million people. So I do think you get some incremental increase in that, but I think it's more about what that game says about Nintendo's strategy, because this is a game for adults, and not just for adults, but for this is not like getting Call of Duty on there.
Weird
This
adults.
is weird adults like us, the super hardcore nerds, weirdos who play FromSoft games, right?
Yeah.
Why is that your marquee flagship third-party exclusive? That's the one thing
Same
that you
as
locked
Cyberpunk.
up, and we said
It's messaging.
that has to be ours. No one else can have this. We want it for just us. That is
It's
a
messaging.
strange play for Nintendo.
They're
What?
spending the money to do that for marketing. It is the same as having Cyberpunk immediately in your showcase, is that it is going, hey, this is not just for kids. We can finally give those people a bunch of cool games that they want. They're doing it early so that we associate Switch 2 in our heads with not just for kids.
I was going to
agree
say,
with
I
that
think
completely.
we're also at the point, we've spoken about it before, where the kids, the youths are not necessarily buying the console. The audiences are growing up.
Yeah.
They have purchasing power now. And it is Nintendo saying, hey, we know you've been with us for a long time. We're looking at you, and we are still going to be giving you things that you want.
Totally agree with you.
It's such an interesting change from their strategy from like the Wii U third-party days, where it was like, we have Batman Arkham also, and like we gave him electric gloves or whatever. Come on down.
And we gave him the worst game cover.
Was that version? I
think so.
Oh man, they like game of the year,
the game of the year version. Oh, yeah. Speaking of, what do you think of the boxes?
The boxes
for the Switch 2, the physical.
What,
boxes.
for the actual console or for the games?
No, for the games.
I haven't noticed. I haven't even seen them.
I haven't seen them.
Bright red, like they are all red. Like it looks. I don't know. There's something about it where it looks weirdly offset.
Yeah, they're ugly.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, I see what you mean. Okay. Yeah.
I was talking to a friend of mine today, and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna have to buy these," and I was like, "You can buy a shelf which has a door on it. You don't have to look at them all the time."
What do
support physical media?
The only other thing I think to be acknowledged is the price of individual games. Yes. Nintendo announced kind of variable pricing, I think was their word. And we got to see it firsthand, where games like Mario Kart will cost up to $80 and other games will be 70, others will be 60. So essentially the new threshold for some games is $80. And that's a lot.
I think it's so funny that we were all assuming GTA would do it, and then of course Nintendo were the ones who did
Mario Kart.
But it really, it really makes sense when you think about it, because it's like Nintendo games, they never drop in price, they never go on sale. They've always been shrewd.
Yeah.
They have. So how do you guys feel? $80.
I will say I know why video games cost more money. Yes. I also have been alive long enough to know how they were priced in the past versus how they're priced now.
Yeah.
Having said all that, like there is still just sticker shock, being so used to and being comfortable as a consumer what these things have cost. Even if these games, like even if developers, publishers are like, oh man, we really need to fucking be charging more for these. The fact that they haven't for so long has now caused me to have sticker shock, where I go, whoa, like right away. And I know people will say like, oh, well, Mario Kart, $80, and I'm going to play it forever with all my friends, and it's going to easily pay for itself. Different scenarios for different people, different strokes for different folks, different wallet size for different people. And I just think it's going to make things a little bit more interesting when we talk about games, and, it becomes more and more of a commitment. $70 was already big. But I think for some people, and people say it's only $10 more, but I ultimately think that some people have a cutoff. Some people go, all right, that's ridiculous. Like enough is enough.
It's a lot of money. How much are they in Australia, Ralph?
120. So, I mean, but to be fair, Alana, when we were coming up, when I was coming up, because I'm older than you, but we were paying $120 Australian for like Metal Gear Solid 2.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Can I just say
109?
Okay.
Like for video games.
But then like that's when we were still young, Alana.
It's true. It's true.
Now perfect example. My mom called me and was like, I saw you posted that. Why is everybody complaining about the price of video games? She's like, I had to work so hard to buy you one back in the day, and it costs more then. And like now you guys are bitching.
But like this is like, I think this is such a challenging conversation, because you can't tell someone else about their money. No one wants to hear about that, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. That's everyone's business, how they spend their money and value of a dollar or whatever else. But like, here's my perspective, right? I want a video game industry where games are sold and they are high quality products without in-game monetization. And I want them to be made by companies who treat their staff well, pay them well, and guarantee them job security and don't sack them needlessly. And I also don't want those companies paying executives obscene sums of money, even when they fuck up.
What you want is impossible under capitalism. It's just not possible.
No, because Nintendo, for all their faults, tick every box that I have just listed. Okay,
Well, yeah, but they're making games more expensive. So
that's
so
what.
yes,
But what
they
that's.
can
But
do
I did
if
not
they
say
become-
that I want the price of a game to stay the same
True.
forever. That's my point. That is my point here, right? And I can't want both of those things at the same time. I can't say I want
No.
well-paid developers, high-quality games, no in-game monetization, and I want the price to stay the same for 30 years. That's not a reasonable request. Okay, so
Yeah.
I completely agree that like now is no one wants to pay more for a video game. Now is a really bad time for it, especially whatever else. But I think the reality is there's some tension in this discussion, which is that like we can't want both of those things at the same time. And I think as well, it's really different specifically with Nintendo, because Ubisoft, if they charge me $80 for like the next fucking Far Cry or whatever, and it has a deluxe edition that has all sorts of extra bullshit, and it has a paid early access period, and it has an in-game cash shop that sells cosmetics and they hold them back and they don't make them available for free in the game, then I'm like, well, that's how you're making your incremental revenue. You shouldn't be asking me to pay more. You know what I mean? But Nintendo, again, don't do any of those things. And they say, well,
I completely agree.
You're going to pay slightly more up front, but in return, we're going to promise you an exceptional high quality product, and we're not going to fleece you post-launch. And I think that's what's challenging with this discussion, right? Because like if Larian
it's not
would...
one size fits all.
It's not one size fits all, but we want it to be for the purpose of the discussion.
Yeah.
If Larian were to say to me, hey, Baldur's Gate 4, we're making it, I'll be like, oh, baby. And they're like, and just so you know, we're going to charge, $80 because we feel like we're going to put a lot of work into it. Obviously, it's going to give you hundreds of hours of gameplay. We're not going to do any monetization in that. We want to pay our staff responsibly. We want to guarantee them job security. And that's the price that we feel is gonna be fair. I'd be like, okay, fair enough. Like,
but
okay.
you're right. A Ubisoft game, I wouldn't be spending that much
and
money.
I would be like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, fucking EA are going to come out with the next Battlefield game. It's probably going to be buggy at launch. And then EA and Andy Wilson takes home $30 million a year. That is the same year he sacked 670 of his workers. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, the ones doing that don't get to tell us that it's development costs.
Totally. So
you don't get to do that.
I am not saying...
Lucy, did you just light a fire?
Yeah.
I was I feel shit because I just got off a long haul flight. And I looked at myself and I was like, I'm going to fix my lighting to see if I can fix this. And I did not.
Liz, come on. You look great. Come on.
Dude, I don't feel great.
So my point with all this is I'm not here to like run defense for Nintendo. I firmly believe that you never want to be doing the PR work of corporations because they're all going to let you down at some point.
Yeah.
I'm just acknowledging a reality that like there is a tension between the desire to keep games the same price forever and the desire to expect more quality, less monetization, and better working conditions from publishers.
Yeah, some of it's so simple. It's like people are like, why are they getting more expensive? Because rent in the world is getting more expensive. The cost of a video game is just the cost of a salary.
Mate.
That's all it is. It's like video games.
Yeah.
You're not spending money on it's just salaries is what comes into a video game budget.
Yeah.
If it's more expensive for people to live, you have to pay your staff more. Like that's really all it is. And I agree. Like I found this really disappointing because I think their messaging sucks. And I think that there are upcharges on things. Like I really expected the Jamboree update to not cost me money. And then I was like, okay.
Not to mention also like, Nintendo Online Plus expansion pack, the price of that, all that
it's just
stuff.
So much, dude.
Yeah.
Like it's
I totally agree
surprising
with all
to me
that.
that some of I think the other one as well is like what should be a pack-in game they're charging for.
Oh,
what is
man,
it?
that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Yes, that's insane.
It's deeply embarrassing.
The Astrobot.
Yeah.
What's it called?
It wishes it was
Welcome
Astrobot.
to-
I know.
It's
The
not-
not even
it's
Astrobot.
not Nintendo Land. That was the other one.
Hang on.
Switch World Tour.
Nintendo Switch Welcome Tour.
That's it.
That's
Welcome to
crazy, Nintendo. What are you doing?
So it's those things are like a perfect storm to this conversation with people being like, well, what the fuck, man?
And they're not putting the music back in the shop.
What?
Yeah.
Oh no.
The
What do you mean?
Wii music.
Super
Like, you know how the
Mario.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Luigi.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so they shoot themselves in the foot for sure on this stuff, and it definitely looks silly. It looks petty. It looks, greedy. Yeah, it does. It does look a bit greedy. You know what I mean? Like, paying for voice chat. Like you got that button on the control that doesn't do anything.
Oh,
unless
we
you
didn't
pay.
even talk about the fact that Nintendo invented Discord.
Yeah, like that's it.
It's
So
only
all that
$40
costs money. Yeah.
all that stuff, and that's why I'm certainly not saying like Nintendo's perfect, and like I'm not saying that $80 price tag is justified. All I'm saying is that like that conversation is, we're actually okay to have that conversation at the bottom end of the spectrum as well. And what I mean by that is games will come out for $40 and we will acknowledge, okay, some reset expectations around that. And we'll be like, what is this game?
game.
Yeah, I was
promising
gonna
for
say,
$40?
lads, we're gonna be reaching unprecedented levels of shite shovelware on the eShop. It'll be like $5 because they'll be like, hey, you don't have to pay $80 for a game, you can just pay this.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I think you're absolutely right, Ralph, that like it's complicated to talk about, and that my immediate reaction, like a lot of other people, is Jesus Christ, Nintendo, this is so expensive. What are you doing? Why are there multiple prices? Why is it $10 digital physical? Like what is this? This is garbage. The reality is the conversation surrounding game pricing that's bubbling up obviously a lot around GTA is that it does require a little more nuance than I think the internet is able to accept.
Absolutely.
That's it. I mean, if Rockstar has spent like $1.5 billion making GTA,
I'm okay with it.
And I don't know that they have or haven't, but I suspect they've spent a fuck ton of money making that video game. And if they want to charge me $80 on that one as opposed to $70, and it's a really, really, really good video game, then I might be like, well, maybe. But then obviously we all know how that game really monetizes, and it's the shark cards and all that sort of shit. Yeah. And it's like, well, then they shouldn't charge that upfront cost, because really what they're banking on. They're the ones that don't need it, and like they're gonna, you know what I mean, all that sort of stuff.
The quality of those games is so high. It's GTA, dude. Like I really think Rockstar's in a league of their own. Like it's just it's not simple. But you're absolutely. I think Larian's a really good example that genuinely, if they were like, hey, you can buy this game for $60, but if you want to, you could also give us 100. I would give them 100 for BG4. Like I'd be like, yes, absolutely, take it. Like you deserve more of my money. Please make more games like this, and that makes me wish we could do that. That we could like maybe be like. I think they had more merch.
I think they had like a deluxe. Didn't they have like some little? I think BG3 had a deluxe edition from memory, but it really just offered some very optional kind of stuff that was like it almost felt like the chance, digital deluxe DLC, and it really just felt like the chance to give them a bit more cash. You know what I mean? It was that kind of thing.
In a perfect world, like economic conditions even aside and everything, like a higher price a lot of times like can come with like an expectation of higher quality, right? And I feel like in the video game world, it's so much murkier. And I feel like that concept is something that AAA has struggled with a lot. Like, especially like Ralph, you brought up Ubisoft earlier. So that's why that's just the other layer of this whole thing.
I in my own video, I'm like, Redfall came out the same year as Tears of the Kingdom and Baldur's Gate 3. They were all the same price. Do you know what I mean? Like,
great point.
Wow, when you say that, that's wow.
And in fact, that is actually a lie. That is actually a lie, because Redfall was more expensive if you bought the Bite Back edition, which, you know, those other games did not have those digital deluxe. Like, I think, you know, Baldur's Gate 3 had a $10 upgrade or whatever, but you know, you could spend $100 on Redfall on day one. You couldn't do that for fucking Tears of the Kingdom. Say again?
Wasn't it also free on Game Pass?
You're absolutely right. That's another thing that
also factors in, is that like Xbox games
totally
cost
agree
nothing.
with you.
Like,
that is,
it's just not so complicated.
And I think that's another thing that we don't really talk about enough at the other end of this conversation, which is like, you can get a lot of games for free, and you couldn't get free games 20 years ago, unless it was like shareware or some shit or piracy.
Unless you knew a guy.
Yes, you know a guy. And also, subscription services have changed the economics of games as well.
And we were also renting games. Like when I had my Nintendo 64 as a kid, my family didn't have any money. We rented every game I played. So it's like it was
video,
also that
baby.
gone. Exactly.
Right.
I used to rent my console before I bought it.
Me too. Yeah.
Things have changed a lot. I do think the thing that a lot of people don't recognize, and I think you touched on it anyway, Jake, is like that adjusted for inflation, video games are cheaper now than they've ever been before. And that is exactly the thing I think a lot of people look over.
Yeah, but we live in a society where we are so used to having everything on demand, and a lot of art and media has been ultimately devalued. And so when we see a price tag, like, the hackles are up, even though when you put it into context,
the nuance of explaining a price is lost.
Yeah.
Like it's just
there's another tweet I saw or whatever that I think really summed this up as well. I think it's like,
why are you looking at Twitter, man?
So they're like, you're not pissed off that the game is $80. Like, you're pissed off that purchasing power has not increased at a pace that feels fair. You know, because 30 years ago, they're like, well, we had so much more disposable income and $1 went further. And it's like, absolutely.
Buy a house.
right? And
parents
but
bought their
now it's
first
like
house for
that level of like
$50,000.
incoming. Say again.
My parents bought their first house for $50,000.
Yeah, I mean, come on now. You know what I mean?
$50,000.
So that's another challenge with all this, where it's like that compounds this, where people like I don't want to hear about the inflationary figure, and it's like, okay, fair enough, but that's reality. And I think what you're really saying, or like a lot of people would be saying, and the reality is that like there's a broader challenge here about like purchasing power, and a luxury item really reminds you of that reality, because you're like, well, I'd love to be able to buy this, but I can't because wages have not kept pace with inflation. You know what I mean? And the Switch 2 is a really good reminder of that economic reality, and it sucks.
And related, I don't think people are wrong to be angry about it.
Not at all.
That's my conclusion. Is
Not
like
at all.
I agree with everything you're saying, and I do think the conversation is a little more nuanced. At the same time, I don't think anyone's wrong to be pissed off about the situation.
Totally,
they're in.
absolutely agree.
Yep.
It sucks.
Like I started, I'm like, I know why, I understand my logic brain, but then I go, oh no, sticker shock. Wow, that's too much. Fuck
Sticker
that.
shock's such a good way to put that. I never
Yeah,
heard
I really
that
like
before.
that.
That's really good.
Yeah. So
Very smart.
I think it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, right? It's like you either buy it or you don't. So I'm curious
so
to
convinced
see
that the Switch 2 will still pre-order out, sell out
Crush,
everywhere.
yeah.
But
100%.
I'm really curious to see if that ends up being wrong. Like I'm like, it'll be just fine.
All right. Well, I think this is going to be an ongoing conversation, like really, just industry. Like, so we'll table that for now. Before we move forward, I think what we should do is have a word from our sponsor. This podcast is sponsored by Factor. If you don't know, Factor delivers fresh, never frozen, dietitian-approved meals right to your doorstep. It makes things easy, right, Luce?
Oh my God. I landed today, a long haul flight from London, and I came to my door and my Factor meals were there waiting for me, and I almost cried. Perhaps it was the jet lag. Perhaps it was delirium. Or the fact that I just knew I was going to get something fresh, good for me, delicious, and something that I could whip up easily in just a few minutes in the microwave. There are 45 weekly menu options, and you can pick from Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, Keto, and more. There are breakfasts, snacks, even like juices and drinks.
Yeah,
and
fun
so
add-ons.
really good add-ons. And I'm traveling a lot at the moment, and it's really difficult to just kind of plot out my meals, but also I'm so tired when I get back that I don't really want to do that. In fact, having Factor in the fridge ready to go is just an absolute lifesaver.
Yes, whether you're coming home from a flight, you're taking kids everywhere, you got a second shift, or you just don't know how to cook and you don't want to think about this stuff, Factor definitely has you covered. 2 minutes in the microwave or so, and you're good to go. So if you do want to check it out, you can get started at factormeals.com/FPS50off and use code FPS50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Again, that's code FPS50off. And you're going to go to factormeals.com/FPS50off to get that 50% off plus free shipping. Big thanks to Factor for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to it. We are back with what we were playing, or what are we? What do we call this segment? What are we playing?
Yeah,
Who are we playing?
What we've been
What you
playing.
playing?
What
Dude,
we've been playing.
I'll start because I haven't been playing anything. Like since the last episode, I just did like Monster Hunter, and then I had to travel, and I've just
You
been
were
like
in an
traveling.
airplane.
I was in an airplane. I played Switch 2 and Marathon, and we've already talked about Marathon in a separate episode, and we talked about Switch 2 just then. So I'm like, yeah, literally nothing else. It's crazy. The last 2 weeks have been
I
such a
got
whirlwind.
one for you.
I've
been playing Into the Dead, Our Darkest Days. This
Haven't heard of
is
that.
essentially.
That's not a great
remember this War of Mine?
Yes.
Yeah.
Kind of like that, very survivally, but it's like zombie apocalypse in like 1980s Texas. And it's been on my radar for a really long time because I like 2D games. And we've made so many top 10 lists on Game Ranks with it, like in like upcoming games, that now it dropped in early access. And I was like, all right, well, we got to talk about it. We got to make a video. So I've been playing it, and it is very early access. It needs some quality of life stuff from like a survival standpoint, from inventory management standpoint. It's got some glitches, it crashes, combat's kind of weak, but the concept is cool. The visual design is cool. Essentially, you have a hideout, and all your survivors are it's kind of like a 2D
Board game.
State of Decay, where it's like you have your survivors and it's like, okay, you can cook, you can repair, you can craft weapons, but it's all structured in like day. You can dance. But it's all structured in like, okay, so like we have a day, so everybody has a task, and then we burn the day, and at the end of that day, the tasks are completed, like that crafted thing. But you can have one person go out and scavenge for supplies. So that's like when you play the game. So you're walking in 2D environments and you have very limited inventory. It's very survival horror-y, like 2 swings of a weapon and it breaks. Like you're desperate. So you have to kind of sneak around or avoid conflict where you can. It definitely needs more stealth options and like a little bit more of a detection system. Like, it's very easy. Like the zombies are kind of inconsistent, not in a way like they should be, but like from a gameplay standpoint. But it's just kind of tense. It's actually very cool, and it's permadeath. And I played 5 hours being like, this is pretty easy. And then I started to get to some scraps and all my people died very quickly. And it's just really interesting. It's just a cool little loop. And then it's like 1980s Texas. So it's got a little bit of a different flavor to it. Your characters look a little goofier. It's like a very sun-drenched zombie apocalypse.
Sounds really cool.
I've seen that footage, yeah. How did you hear about this?
Stumbled upon it years ago.
Right.
As like a upcoming thing, like a Steam thing, and had it wish listed. And like I said, we've mentioned it in so many zombie games, top 10 lists, that it's like, I had to check this out.
Wait, what was the name again?
Into the Dead, Our Darkest Days. It's early access.
Sounds like an Under Oath lyric.
But yeah, it could use a little work on the title. But yeah, I think it's tense. It's very like, like you get desperate. It's a survival game in that structure. So at the end, it's like one person's stressed out, one person is dying of hunger. So you give them a beer so that they're less stressed out, but then they become an alcoholic, and then they're like debuffed in that.
One beer, Jesus, that's a good beer.
That's what my mom always warned me would happen.
One drug will make you die. Yeah,
that's right.
So it's got a lot of that stuff. That stuff doesn't really all carry into gameplay when you're out scavenging yet. I would like to see that come from early access, but a lot of the things are in place to just make this a cool thing. And if it can be like this War of Mine, I think it would be one to watch, because this War of Mine had legs. It was ported to everything. It had expansions. People took to it. So I'm hoping that this can be a similar thing.
Very cool. That sounds awesome.
Lucy, you said you had 2 games?
Yeah, mate. Okay, so South of Midnight. Not gonna spend too much.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying it. I don't think I have much more to say on it than what everyone else has said. That it is beautiful, wonderful story, beautiful art direction, the music, the acting, the writing. I find it to be way more emotionally deep than I expected. And there's a lot of, there's a line in it where it's like hurt people, and it's all about trauma and how we internalize pain and how others can help us. And I think it's a really great game, and I'm enjoying it a lot. And I think the combat is the thing that everyone keeps bringing up, because the combat is certainly, it's there. It's not my favorite part. I just did a boss battle that was kind of really infuriating, just because the dodge timing is not quite right. The telegraphing of the enemies is not quite there. However,
the one you got to ring the bell.
Yes,
that drove me nuts. Yeah,
I'd be so down for a version of this game that doesn't have combat, because, like you said, like all of the art thing about all of the art things about it are so good. I think South of Midnight is way better than I expected it to be based on the marketing. Like, I was like, wow, you really went all out with creativity with a lot of this in ways that I really, really appreciate. Every time combat comes up, I'm like, all right.
Yeah, I was looking in the accessibility menus, and you can skip. You can skip the chases, you can skip combat, you can skip the boss encounters.
That's cool.
You can put stuff in to allow those prompts to come up. I'm really enjoying it. I was playing it on my Roger Ally on the flight back.
Did you feel like it was kind of a throwback game? Like, did it feel kind of like old, like a, I don't know, like a PS2, like early 360, just kind of like straightforward adventure with just how simple it is? That's kind of how I felt.
Yeah, I didn't think of it that way, but I think that's right. It just feels very like there's a very clear artistic direction that it wants to take you on and a very clear story. That story goes places.
Gets a little
Some
dark.
of those, it's way heavier than I expected. And my family, like a lot of teachers, people in social work, like my godmother was a social worker. And so for Hazel's mum to be a social worker and like washing off the day was one that like really resonated because she felt like she could never do enough. And like that, so it weirdly hit me a little harder than I thought it would because it was, all these themes that I kind of grew up with people in my family. So good game. My other one though, Blueprints.
Please no
Oh,
spoilers.
yeah, right.
I'm
not
gonna spoil it.
excited. Thank you.
Bro.
I'm not gonna spoil it.
Yeah, so you kind of talked about this a little bit, right? Like, so now is this kind of like your final word? Like, do you?
I saw someone refer to it as a Metroid Brainia.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the name of my favorite genre. That's the Oberdins, your Tunics.
Yeah.
Your
Correct.
Outer Wilds is the Metroid Brainias.
Oh, I call them smart people games.
There's a really good website called is it Thinky Games?
Okay.
Thinky Games, which is nice. So Blueprints is a puzzle game where you are left your uncle's sprawling estate if you can find the 46th room in his 45-roomed house.
Sounds like a game. This sounds like a game for British people.
Hey.
Where are the guns?
And how you do that is you go in and basically you enter a hallway and there are 3 doors. And then every time you reach a door, you have blueprints to put a different room down. And rooms can offer you different bonuses. They can offer you different items. There could be puzzles inside of them. You draft those plans and you basically work your way through. However, going into a new room costs you one of your 50 steps for the day. Because you start each day with 50 steps, and if you run out of those, then you have to go to bed. You have to call it a night. So actually, that is very British. I'm going to call it a night.
Got to call it a night.
I'm going to call it a night. But if you put a bed, you go to bed. If you put a bedroom down or something, then you get steps back because you rejuvenated. But if you do go to bed, you can't sleep in the house. That's one of the stipulations. And you can't take anything with you the next day. You sleep in a little tent in the grounds. The house resets itself. And so you are going through, you're putting different rooms down. And so like you'll put a security room down so you can see other items that are in the house or whatever. So each room has a specific purpose. And your first couple of goes, you'll be like, oh, I did this puzzle, did that. And then you'll start unlocking items. And then you'll start figuring out the puzzles. And then you'll find little words. And then you'll be 5 hours later and you'll solve something that you came across in your first run or something. It
changes how you see everything. I love
changes
that
how you
shit.
see everything.
God.
The layers to it are impeccable. It is one of those games where like it tells you to have a notebook. Oh my God, have a notebook. Like I've been having a blast just like having my book open next to me, writing everything down and figuring stuff out. And like I kind of want to, I did it on my my tablet so that I can look back at it and like have it easy access to, because I was really bad. I was like, there was a song sheet or something that came up and I was like, I got my thing and I took a picture of it like this and then I put it in my notepad and I was like, yeah, because this will be easier. It's great. It's
how story like heavy is it? Like how much is that in your face or is that in the background?
It's not in your. It's like you're piecing stuff together because you're reading notes and things, and like you're logging onto the intranet that they have in the manor and stuff, and so like you're piecing all that together, and it's an old timer. I don't want to say too much. That's the thing. I don't want to say too much.
I mean, it's 95 on OpenCritic, which is like basically one of the highest rated games of all time.
And I think it has won me Fantasy Critic for this year, mate.
Yeah, it's like it is meant to be like generational. It's just like one of the all timers. So
fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, it's very high on my list.
Is it on PlayStation Plus or Game Pass? I think
it's on PlayStation.
Game Pass. Yeah.
I wish I'm going to try and find the time for it because we've got some other stuff to review next week, and then after that, like there's other things going on. But I really desperately, I don't think I can like let this one pass. Like you just have to do this one. It's like apparently
certainly before Game of the Year, you gotta.
Yeah, I mean, apparently a playthrough can be as short as 17 hours or as long as 100, depending on how long you want
Yeah.
to spend with it.
Oh,
and how
that's
obsessed
definitely
you
if you're
get.
dumb. It's going to be.
Well, no, it's not
100
really
hours
about
for
like
you.
dumb. It's
No.
just about like how deep you want to go in the layers
Yeah.
of secrets and
Oh,
whatever.
okay,
You know what I mean?
cool.
It's not about like how smart you are. Yeah, it's just about like depth apparently. So
Interesting.
yeah, Edmund's playing it. He's all about it. He's obsessed. Says it's a masterpiece.
I should reach out to Ed more.
Yeah,
Because
would
he
love
and
that.
I are very,
Compare
very
notebooks.
similar in
And then
our
you'll see
games
him-
that
yeah,
we
you'll s-
enjoy.
You'll see him at Summer Games Fest as well.
Will I?
Well, he's coming. He's coming.
Cool.
I'm so excited. So for everyone listening at home, Ed used to work at GameSpot, so got to know
Now
him
he's on the
through that.
Shill Up team. So
Shill Up Enterprises.
yeah.
Alana, what have you been playing?
So outside of South of Midnight, which I agree with Lucy 1000% on every account, I finished Eternal Strands. It was one of those
Oh,
games
cool.
that I was
Oh,
slowly
cool.
plugging away at.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And I ended up putting in like, I think it's 27 hours or something, which is not
Nice.
necessary.
Cool.
Really enjoyed it. It's just fun. I did not pay really any attention to the story whatsoever. So I think some people would opt into that. Some people will be like me who just kind of aren't into it. And instead just like had fun with the physicsy romp. You just, take down big boss. Like once you get to the end game and you're really good at it, it still didn't bore me. Like basically there are all of the various maps you can go to. There are maybe, I don't know, 10 or something. Then it'll randomize which boss is in which map. I fight them every single time I happen to pass one because I was just like, I'm still enjoying doing this. This is great. And I do it every single time. And it's just like you get more fire abilities and more ice abilities, and the physics just gets more and more chaotic. And there's a weapon that you can get, the kinetic two-hander, that basically lets you launch yourself into the sky while you're shooting ice on the ground while everything's on fire. Like it's just very chaotic, fun time. I just ended up really, really, really enjoying it. Not like the kind of thing that I'm expecting to get nominated for Game of the Year or anything, but the kind of game that I didn't realize I'd played it for 27 hours. I was like, great.
That's cool.
Great use of my
It's a
time.
mark
Yeah,
of a good
really
game.
just ended up
Yeah.
really enjoying it. Yeah, I would recommend it to people who like, again, there's some Dragon's Dogma, there's some Shadows of Colossus, there's some Tears of the Kingdom, but I wouldn't imagine it's like quite as good as any of those. But the stuff that it does well, it really does do well. The physics especially. It's very, very fun.
It's on my list.
Yeah, I'm really hoping the team for this one, like it's Yellow Brick Games. I hope they keep going, because obviously it's really tough for because they actually had a publishing deal with Private Division that fell through, so then they had to self-publish it. Hope they can hope this sold well enough, because I think clearly the quality is there. Like everyone who plays is like, this is a good game. So this team deserves the chance to stick together and make another game and get out there, because clearly it's got the right stuff. So
and the story stuff that I didn't like, I think, is because the story is presented in a way that is very disparate from the gameplay. It's like two games. You have
It's all
story chunks
static,
and you have
right?
game chunks. Yeah, it's 2D. Looks like a
that's right.
dating sim. But that's the budget reasons. That's what they had to do. I get it. They still wanted to have characters in there. They couldn't have everybody be 3D animated. It was too expensive for them to do cutscenes. So this is what they did instead. And I totally respect that. And again, I think some people will like it. I just wasn't a fan of it. But I'd love to see what happens. If this game is successful, I have no idea how well it's sold, what they make next. You always get the kind of game where you're like, I bet your next game's going to be fucking awesome. And I'm just excited to see what they work on next. Because it's
That's
especially
awesome.
for a debut game, it's awesome. They made a really good game.
Yeah.
Cool.
Actually, I also forgot
Alright.
to mention I played Doom Dark Ages.
Oh my God,
Did we talk
yeah.
about that already?
Oh,
No.
No.
Yeah.
So many questions.
Doom Dark Ages. TLDR, totally different from all the other ones. It is a 3D bullet hell game, which harkens back to the original 1 and 2. It's slow-moving projectiles that you need to dodge, which make it a 3D bullet hell. But now they've obviously, taken that much further. So now it plays almost like a Returnal is too strong a word, but Returnal-esque, and so people are calling it Doom Returnal, which I'm like, that's clever.
Very good.
So is there a lot of weaving and jumping over?
Absolutely. There's a lot of weaving the orange projectiles so you can get in front of the green ones, because you have to parry them back, reflect them, and then that'll stun the enemy set them up for a melee combo. Melee is a huge thing in this game. It's a big source of your damage. It's a huge part of the loop. Yes, you in
sorry.
video game shirt at the front.
I raised my hand. Glory kills. I need to know, like,
Yes.
because they changed them.
They
Is it
did.
for the better, or is it just like to make it more fluid? Like,
It's
do
to
they
make it
still
more
look
fluid.
awesome?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're not as leveraged into glory kills. Just a moment, please. I'm still answering the other question. You no
I'm
need
gonna
to
leave my
raise your
up
hand.
while you finish.
I have registered your query. No, you basically you're still doing glory kills sort of, but if you go back and play Doom Eternal, it's just like constant glory kill, because you got to kind of keep your ammo economy up. This one not as leveraged into that. There's still some of them, but way less of them, and very often you're just meleeing things quickly rather than doing full animation glory kills, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a compromise. It's not like you're still in that space, but it's faster and more fluid and better paced overall.
Okay.
Yes, you with the glasses.
Hey, Alana Pierce for Chara Lamazad.
Nice.
Thank you so much for taking my question. I sort of have two questions. One is the traversal. Is it? Did they go away from the Doom Eternal platformy stuff?
Yes, absolutely.
Excellent.
Absolutely. Totally gone.
And second is, did you play with the speed settings? Because like I love how fast paced the recent Doom games are, and it sounds like this is significantly slower.
Yes. Significantly is a strong word. It is slower for sure, but don't get the impression that this game is slow, because you have a shield, and the shield, you can actually kind of lock onto a distant enemy, and then just with a press of a button, you'll do a shield slam that will kind of dash you to that target. So the game is still pretty quick, but it's definitely slower than Doom Eternal was, for sure, no doubt about it. Did I play with the speed settings? No, I didn't. But yeah, they're there, and you can absolutely speed this thing up, and it would be wild. And I mean, we all saw the gameplay treat where they showed that off, and I think the gameplay loop would survive being much faster as well. You know what I mean? Because I looked at the speed of projectiles, I looked at the loop, and I was like, yeah, I can see if I doubled the speed of this, does this still work? It does, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Final question: what do you do in between the combat arenas? You know how like Doom 2016 is like fight many men in a room hallway, and then what Eternal did was fight many men in an arena and then platform. What are the in between sections for this game?
Nothing really. Just like walk.
You
to
run
the
a potion shop.
Just walk to the next.
And I would.
Well, actually, there's two ways I'll answer that question. One, in the linear levels, there's just nothing. There's just you go from arena to arena. Okay. There's also a different type of map now, which is sort of semi-open plan. So instead of being a corridor, for want of a better term, it's essentially like a massive beachhead, and you can go over there and fight that boss, or you could go over there and discover that secret, or you could whatever, right? So you can choose where to go, and as you're exploring this space, that naturally kind of, there's no real downtime as you're doing that, because it's all kind of very tightly packed together and whatever else. So there's that. There's also like the dragon missions where you're riding the dragon. Unfortunately, the dragon is not good. It's a bummer. It sucks.
Dragon's washed.
I think the dragon is washed. Put my hand up and ask about the dragon. Why is it not good?
So it's twofold. Number one, the core combat of Doom is really, really, really fucking good, to the point where when you're not playing it, you're like, why aren't I doing more of that? You just want to get back to it, okay? Secondly, what they've built with the dragon is not good, which is like you're just flying around like Panzer Dragon sort of esque until it's time to actually fight. And at that point, you lock onto the target, and your plane of movement stops being full motion, and it just becomes like a, XY axis. You know what I mean? And that's right, exactly. I watched actually Conclave on the plane. Anyway,
oh, what a movie!
Man, that film. Twist, man, no one saw that coming. Anyway,
no, not at all.
So yeah, like the lock-on controls don't work. What you need to do to bring down targets doesn't work. It's honestly kind of disappointing, because you had this bullet hell loop that actually would have really worked for a flyer, like a shmup kind of thing with a dragon. That would have been sick as hell, but it's actually not like that at all. It's weird and awkward, and I don't like it. And no, to be honest with you, no one else did either. Like it's a thing. However, these are like pacing missions in the game. This is not the focus of the game. This is not like, as I said in my preview, it's not like Panzer Dragoon. This is just a little thing that it's like the turret mission in a Call of Duty game, right? So that's fine in that context. I don't care that much. But everything else, I loved it.
Did you get to see any of? I remember when they like announced the game, they highlighted a little bit of like storytelling and that there was like NPCs and stuff. Did you get to see any of that?
Oh yeah,
Is that
absolutely. There's a
weird?
lot
Does it
of
feel out of
story in this game.
place?
Yeah, like okay, I'm jury's out on this one because I thought Doom 2016 was perfect. I thought Doom Eternal laid it on a bit thick, and this is like taking the entire jar of peanut butter and then emptying it onto the toast and then smashing it. That's how much story is going on right now. Okay,
Wow, that's so surprising.
and so
wow.
in that regard, and it's very Halo coded as well. That's the other thing I'll say. Like it's very Halo as you play, as you watch it, right? The fact that they're kind of going all in on it makes me like, all right, well, yeah, okay, let's have a crack. Let's see how this goes. Like you want to pick up where sort of, Halo left off and try and deliver that kind of vibe of story. I'm open to it.
Yeah.
But it's going to take a lot for me to think that it's good compared to like the simplicity of 2016 and yada, yada, yada. Do you know what I mean? So,
totally.
Yeah, basically
the first games, right? There's the first 2 games. You just get like occasionally a wall of text, and it's like, don't worry about it.
That's the first game. The second game, the second game did have actual cutscenes and more story stuff, and I felt like it was kind of sniffing its own farts a bit. Whereas now this is kind of like
all the cool stuff, like all the cool like Doomslayer lore was just kind of in text.
Well, because was it the second one that had his little apartment, and you could.
Yes,
it
it
out
did.
with little things that you
little apartment. That's right. So look, I'm going to say at this point, it's too early for me to judge that. I'm open to it. You know what I mean? I'm not like, no, this sucks. I'm like, you can't judge a story based upon like 4 cutscenes that I saw.
Yeah,
could be sick as hell and I end up loving it, or it could be like, no, this was not needed. Just please.
A lot of Doom lore is really fun and really silly, and like the stupid rabbit stuff. Like it is fun. I guess like if they take that tone, then I think I'm okay with it. But again, when I say Doom 1 and Doom 2, I mean like 1993. Like I love those games so much.
Sure.
Doom 1 is probably my favorite game. 1993.
I think Doom lore being silly is fun when you have to imagine what that lore looks like. When you actually see what that lore might look like.
If they take it super seriously, it can either be cheesy or too Call of Duty, and that's an interesting.
Yeah. So as I said, jury's out. But look, TLDR, I really, really, really enjoyed it, and I am keen for it. It's like May 15th or whatever. It's looking very solid. I'm very into it.
Cool. I'm excited. They're just things that I look forward to, and I'm glad that team is like always trying to do it a little different every time.
I know. Even when like the things don't work, I love that they try. You know what I mean? Like I'm glad that they are like, oh, okay, you guys didn't like this, we'll change it.
They're still unique. There's nothing else like them. So.
Yep.
All right. Well, with that, we should move on over to our final segment, Show and Tell. This is where we bring something to the table that isn't video games. We try and be normal people with other hobbies. Does anyone have anything this week?
The only thing I can say is I saw Mickey 17.
Oh,
okay, cool.
Oh yeah,
I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
It's I don't think it's anywhere near as good as Boon Jong-ho's Korean films. I don't think that is like an unusual take. Robert Pattinson's performance is incredible. It's like worth watching for that alone. Some of the other performances are like a little over the top, but it is a kind of cartoonish film in some ways. It was really fun. It was a fun movie. It's fun. It's silly. It has heart to it that is like maybe a little too over the top sometimes. But yeah, I'm glad I saw it in theaters.
Cool.
Especially considering it has not been making money.
Yeah.
And it's already on streaming.
Yeah, true. That's right.
Damn.
It was fun.
I have 2 things. I watched Lawrence of Arabia for the first time.
Whoa.
What a fucking incredible thing. It's like my whole identity now.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh my God. What an experience. Beautifully made. Just a bunch of people in the desert blowing stuff up with like real things. Just crazy. Just crazy.
Battlefield 1, the movie.
I was going to say, everyone's saying it's Red Faction Guerrilla, but film.
Yeah, incredible. Awesome. To the point I got home and I tracked down the 4K Ultra.
Nice.
Yeah, I bought that. I got that on my shelf right there. Yeah,
that's one of the holy grails. Yeah,
really
it was hard to get it at like a decent
It's got
price.
like a really nice, it has like that really stylized cover, like this really nice kind of cut. Yeah,
it's
really
cool.
nice.
I'm watching it this
That's how
weekend.
you know you're in your 30s. You're like, the cover of this 4K Blu-ray that I bought is sick. You just
Also,
noticed that?
of this Lawrence of Arabia Blu-ray.
Yeah, of Lawrence of Arabia, this 4-hour movie.
Come at me, man. Come at me.
Pretty similarly, I also watched the Devil May Cry Netflix show.
Oh, how was that?
It's all right.
It's a bummer.
It's hard, right? Because everybody comes to Devil May Cry for different things because they're all a little different, and every interpretation of it is a little different. So I'm open to like different Devil May Cry, but it just felt a little off. I just felt like it was missing a little something. I felt like I was watching Invincible, but like with like a little bit of Devil May Cry. It has cool action that I feel like doesn't really understand the games, but cool action nonetheless. I just feel like the people. I don't want to go too like.
Oh,
too
he's got a take.
No, I feel like the people who made it didn't play. Like they watched the cutscenes, they didn't play the game because
Who did make it?
there's such a distinct thing to like Dante, and it didn't really hit in that regard. The guy who uses a sword and pistols and is like a weapon master essentially, and like he uses all these other things, and the demon form too felt kind of off, but it was
you know who made it?
Adi Shankar.
Yeah,
he makes everything, right?
At this point, yeah. So but on the other hand, like it tried things where I liked that it had Limp Bizkit in the intro, and like it had
Excuse me?
the intro to the show is incredible. It's
Limp Bizkit?
Doesn't it have like the first Evanescence song in a hot minute too?
It has a new Evanescence song in it. It has a needle drop for Cut My Life Into Pieces. This is my last resort. It's like an action scene cut to that.
It actually, oh my God. Wow.
It has, the intro is Attack, what is it called? Attack Helicopter, Keep Rolling.
Yo, wait, hold up. Power Glove did the soundtrack?
It's,
Now
wow, that's cool.
So it's distinct.
Power Glove is sick. Dude.
So it's kind of like it's trying to find its own thing in terms of like which kind of Dante, like woohoo, wacky Dante, kind of edgy Dante, gothic Dante. So it's cool. It does. Yeah. So it does that. And I respect that. It just didn't completely land for me. Also, it's got like one of Kevin Conroy's last performances. He plays like the evil vice president. And it's very cool to hear. He's doing his Kevin Conroy thing, but he's talking about like angels and demons and God has sent me, and he's doing like religious, like spooky.
That works for him. That works for his
cool.
His timbre.
Yeah, that's really cool. It's a quick watch, cruise through it. Yeah, just kind of like a a mixed on it, but yeah.
I think I've not seen a lot of people talk about it, but the reception I've seen aligns with yours exactly.
Honestly, go online, look up the intro, like watch the title sequence. You're good. It's incredible. It's the best thing ever.
Is it new or is it like you just went?
Came out like last week or something?
Oh, okay, right. So it's
just dropped.
Right.
Netflix sent me a Dante life-size body pillow.
Congrats.
Oh, can I have it?
Hell yeah.
No. No, you can't. I'd have to wash it.
Alrighty.
All right.
I regret
does anyone else have anything
that came out of my mouth?
I got,
Lucy, you went to the BAFTAs.
I did.
Congrats. You did a great job.
Thanks. Yeah, I hosted the red carpet at the video game BAFTAs.
Amazing.
You did a great job.
Thank you. I did it last year as well, and it was an honor to be invited back, and I had a lovely time. It's just such a great celebration of gaming, and it's also like, as someone who grew up with the BAFTAs being such a huge thing for film and TV, the fact that video games has one is pretty incredible. And it's like they don't pander to the audience either, which I think is really special. Like they just get it. And like Phil Wang, who hosted, legit gamer, holy shit, I asked him like what he's been playing, and he was like, well, like he gets through everything. So that was great. A lovely time was had by all. But I was going to say, for my show and tell, I've been rereading Berserk.
Nice.
Because I went to London, I had a big flight, so put some games on my ROG Ally. Also, I have a podcast at Giant Bomb where we are making Jeff Baclar watch Berserk. And I've never seen the anime, but I've read the manga. I have a Berserk tattoo. I went to Uniqlo and got the collection.
Excellent.
That's a sick shirt.
It's
cool very cool.
Sorry for
from
audio.
From a Uniqlo exclusive person to another.
Yeah.
God bless.
This is just generic Uniqlo right here.
Alana, do we have 4?
Yeah, I just got my generic Uniqlo. Well, you know how it is.
So this is for audio listeners. It's a shirt with the God hand on. No, I mean, it just is still an unbelievable piece of fiction that has inspired so much. It's quite funny. There's like, when you know what it's inspired, there's parts of it where you go back and it's a bit where it's like, oh yes, all these people in hell, these dark souls. There's literally one of the lines. There was also another one where there is a character called Gambino.
Miles tell a turn, you know.
There is a character called Gambino, and there's a line where someone goes, that was pretty childish. Gambino. But I don't think that's where he got his name from. I think he said he got his name from a
Got it from a
Wu-Tang
rap generator.
from a Wu-Tang rap generator. But
that's
I
cool.
did
What are the
find that
chances?
quite funny.
Then the generator got it from that. Then.
Yeah, but also
Maybe
like,
someone called Gambino. There's a guy named Gambino in the manga.
and he's not a good guy. He's not a good guy.
Oh man, a
He's,
typical.
He's the head of the
typical
mercenaries.
portrayal.
He's
Okay.
the head of the mercenaries who takes
course.
guts in when he's a baby. No, and like I mean, Miura's art is unbelievable. It is so detailed. I'm poring over every panel. It's strange watching the anime because I've never seen it, so this is my first time watching it, and it's like I love how they've adapted it, but also at the same time, I'm very sad that the art style doesn't really translate because it would take people hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours to.
Is this the one with the guy with the big sword?
Yes, it is, Jake.
Yeah, there's only one of those, so
Yeah, infamously.
it's almost definitely this.
It's
person.
he's got a big sword. He has a gun for an arm. You'd like it?
Yeah.
Oh, he does.
Yeah.
So he's like Barrett and Cloud mixed together.
Yeah.
Cool.
The ideal man.
Yeah.
My two guys.
Peak human form right there. No.
So how are you rereading it? Because it is a lot of books, right? Are you cracking open these giant Bibles on the plane?
I got them on my tablet.
Okay, cool.
On my tablet, which is annoying because they got rid of like some of them have guided view on Kindle and some of them don't, and I don't know. I've been sat there like pinching to zoom the whole time.
It's tough.
But it's great, and I guess my other shout out is I've been watching a lot of home decoration videos. So shout out to Alexandra Gator, great YouTube channel.
Your
coming
room's
along.
great.
Covers.
It's looking great.
I got to stop my lighting, but then and also got to stop my. If you've been watching the video version, you'll have seen both my cats go absolutely
Go
apeshit over
insane.
that plant. But look at her. She's just sitting on the chair, having a good time. All right, I gotta go to bed, guys.
Yeah. Ralph, what do you got? Do you have any? Or did
Very
you,
briefly,
did we do
because
you-
everyone's
yeah.
tired. I played my very first game of Magic Commander last night at a
Here we
launch
go.
event
All of
for a
us.
Magic thing, which I actually had
another
a
one
very
bites
fun
the
time.
dust.
Shout out to Based Deck Builder. I think that's Based Deck Department. They have a small YouTube channel, and they were basically teaching me how to play because I had no fucking clue. But it was really fun, and I had a really good time. And everyone on
What
the table
colours
was
did you
really
play?
nice. Well, it was a multicolored deck. It was green, white, and black. And we were all just like, it was very friendly. It was very chill. Everyone was very patient. The game went for a long time. I think we played for like 2.5 hours for one game because everyone was just patient with me.
Let's play when you come to LA for Summer Game Fest.
That'd be fun.
I have
would
like
that.
10 pre-made commander decks that I just whip
Excellent.
out. Yeah, you don't have
So
to
long
worry
as you
about
don't
any of
mind teaching me,
Whipping a
because
deck
again,
out.
one game
Totally
is not enough. But yeah, that would be fun.
it. Totally fine.
And other than that, I spent time on the plane, so I watched film. I watched A Complete Unknown with Timothée Chalamet.
Bob Dylan.
So not the best film, but his like performance in it is unbelievable. Like he
was
really
pushing that Oscars.
he
thing
like
pretty
it's a
hard.
really he just disappears into that role. When you imagine that, you just remember that you watched him as like Paul Atreides, and then a few months later I'm watching this guy as Bob Dylan. You're like, okay, man, you've done some serious work here. Like he's really
His
it's
Xbox
really-
360 controller reviews.
That's right, exactly. He's come
So
a long
diverse.
way. And I also watched Conclave.
Yes.
Bitchy popes going at it. Like just the cast, the writing, the whole setup, the tension, the
Good
ending.
drama.
Just a fucking 10 out of 10 film, man. So good.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved it. It just couldn't have done any better. So yeah, that was it. Very impressed.
Well,
That's all I got.
That's plenty of things for people to catch up on.
Yeah.
I guess those are recommendations. Are there recommendations when we do?
Yeah.
shows?
You should
think
definitely
so.
Sort of.
definitely play
Yeah.
Magic. Definitely watch Conclave and a
Maybe
quick
watch
complete
Definitely
unknown.
watch
I
Berserk.
Yeah.
tell you what.
Sometimes I get people who do message me and say like, "Thank you for someone." I talked about Gunship on a podcast recently, and someone messaged me and said, "Hey, thank you for the Gunship shout out. I can't stop listening to Unicorn," and for that I say you're welcome. And everyone should listen to Gunship.
Nice.
I'm always
Ever
so
the
conscious of
perfect
that now
hero.
because there was that period of time where I was raving about how much I love Power Wash Simulator, and I got an angry message from someone being like, "It's you literally just power wash, and you were talking about this game." I was like,
It's incredible,
I didn't
though.
say it was anything else.
No, it's incredible. You're absolutely spot on.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong.
All right, folks, that's another episode of Friends Per Second, the podcast. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you watch the video version, clicking the like button helps us. If you listen to the audio version, rate it on your favorite podcast platform and be nice, please, maybe. Unless you didn't like us, then just leave it blank. Don't write anything bad.
Nice, man.
Am I allowed to say that? Is that legal?
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But thank you guys for listening. I guess that's really it. Have a great week. We'll see you in the next one. Tie your shoes and go to bed.